It's the eve of Labor Day, and I hope you have all your tools ready to carry out your projects tomorrow. And as you get started, remember, it's all about taking a stand to beautify our land. Hello and welcome to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. On the pages today, how working together can build a safer Jamaica. We recap key points of the Security Minister's presentation to the sectoral debate, plus another aspiring farmer in our series of Youth in Agriculture. He says seeing the smiles that come from eating what we grow is very encouraging. All that and so much more in our package, so stay with us.
Be a part of Labor Day 2014. Find a project and volunteer. Take a stand. Beautify our land.
Good day, I'm Samantha Allen and this is your GIS News for Thursday, May 22. Work on the Mount Russell bypass is about 80% complete and is progressing smoothly. This was disclosed to Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller Tuesday as she toured the Linstead to Monique section of the north-south leg of Highway 2000.
In my view, there is not so many works because most of difficult works already has been completed. So we only left, let's say, around the 15,000 cubic meters of work.
After viewing the section of the highway which bypasses Mount Russell, the Prime Minister said she was pleased with the progress being made.
I'm quite satisfied with what I saw earlier, and I'm looking forward to August when I'll come to join you to declare this section open. And I believe that when this is completed, then Jamaica in this section will look like any first world country in the world.
The north-south leg of Highway 2000, which links Kingston to the north coast, is being constructed in 3 phases, with the first to be completed by August 6. The Caymanas to Linstead and the Monique to Ocherius legs are slated to be completed by December 2016. Jamaica is exploring the commercial production of hemp, a variety of the cannabis plant that's grown for its fiber and seeds. The fiber is used to manufacture rope, canvas, paper and clothing, among other items. In his sectoral presentation Wednesday, Industry Minister Anthony Hilton said Cabinet would shortly consider a draft regulatory framework for a viable value chain around the hemp industry. He said Jamaica Promotions, JAMPRO, was leading this process.
Jamaica has an opportunity to carve out its niche in the industrial hemp global market, which will also support related efforts to develop other industries from cannabis sativa, such as medical marijuana.
More than 25,000 products can be derived from the hemp plant. The Education Ministry will begin paying $11,500 per annum in tuition support for each child in a state-run place of safety. The initiative, which begins this September, is in addition to the payment of examination fees. Portfolio Minister Reverend Ronald Thwaites made the disclosure following recent reports in the media about the lack of educational services to children in custodial care. He said the ministry was already providing textbooks and resource material to institutions operated by the Department of Corrections and would also provide teachers for some of the facilities. The Education Ministry is also proposing to include incarcerated young people in the full rollout of the Tablets in Schools initiative and will develop a framework to treat with the educational needs of these children. Minister with responsibility for housing, Dr. Maurice Guy, says improving the living conditions of citizens, particularly in urban areas, remains a priority of the administration. Dr. Guy was speaking last Friday at a public consultation on Jamaica's draft national report for the 3rd United Nations Conference on Human Settlements, Habitat 3. He said that over 50% of Jamaica's population live in urban centers, which were in need of significant infrastructural development.
It will not be easy undertaking this and to achieving this goal, but we have to start somewhere.
The public consultation, which was conducted under the theme Housing and Sustainable Urban Development, was the final of 3 held across the island. The draft national report for Habitat 3 supports implementation of the 2nd UN Conference on Human Settlements. It also examines new challenges and emerging trends, as well as a prospective vision for sustainable human settlements and urban development. As of July 2014, only security companies that have completed safety monitoring courses will be allowed to work at events in the National Stadium. In a release, the Office of the Prime Minister says the new measure is in alignment with the government's plan for the stadium to receive certification to host international sporting events. Over 80 persons have already received the safety monitoring training, and there's a call for more persons to take up the offer. The safety courses target security personnel, employees of the National Stadium, ushers, and event organizers. They are organized in conjunction with the Jamaica Fire Brigade and the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. And finally, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security has begun training its officers in preparation for the passing of the Flexi Work legislation. The legislation is expected to be debated in Parliament in August this year. Last week, the ministry began the first in a series of sensitization sessions at its North Street offices. Labour Minister Derek Kelly said the training would give workers a clear understanding of how flexible work arrangements were expected to work and how it would impact other pieces of legislation. The Flexi Work legislation is expected to create more employment, boost productivity, and create investment opportunities. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Samantha Allen. Thanks for watching.
Achieving a safer Jamaica requires input from all of us. National Security Minister Peter Bunting made that important point in his recent contribution to the sectoral debate.
Using the public health approach to tackle the epidemic of violence.
Just as, for example, the greatest predictor of a case of flu might be coming into contact with somebody who is already infected with flu. Similarly, the greatest predictor of a case of violence is a previous case of violence.
And so the Ministry of National Security will seek to interrupt transmission by first detecting and finding cases of violence and then encouraging citizens to change their behavior so they can understand the causes of crime and work together to find a cure. The strategy will begin by targeting the operational techniques of the security forces and the legislative framework that govern their activities. As a first step, the number of police officers in the JCF has been increased to almost 11,500 following the merger with the Island Special Constabulary Force.
Internally, we've done a lot in terms of preparing for training, additional training to close skill gap, for mentorship, for reassignment, attachment of persons to work with teams and more experienced officers so that their skill sets can come up to the level required so that they can eventually perform on their own.
More emphasis will also be placed on proximity policing, police officers being stationed in communities to build relationships with citizens. To make that possible, more 40-foot containers will be used as mobile police posts, existing public infrastructure will be retrofitted as police stations, and developers will be further encouraged to include police posts within housing developments.
Accompanying this shift will also be a reduction in the use of the paramilitary style uniform in favor of the more civilian style red seam or khaki uniform.
A new portfolio will also be added to the JCF, the Security Services Portfolio. The unit, to be headed by a Deputy Commissioner of Police, will incorporate the Marine and Canine divisions of the JCF and will be responsible for VIP protection.
As well as securing critical facilities such as Parliament, King's House, Jamaica House, the courts, ports and airports, and other critical infrastructure, including, for example, facilities to do with the logistics hub.
The police will also boost their operations to enforce the provisions of the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Bill, popularly called the Anti-Gang Legislation, which was passed earlier this year.
Heavy penalties will be incurred by the directing minds of these organizations for offenses such as leading the criminal organization or recruiting children or adults to their gangs.
And we have actually identified cases in every division, police division, where the law can immediately be applied. And we have published internally a set of criteria that officers can look for when they make certain arrests.
Now that stakeholders have employed strategies to interrupt the spread of criminal activities, the second step involves a strong focus on social intervention programs and the operations of the Department of Correctional Services, DCS. Through the third phase of the Citizen Security and Justice Program, CSJP, which will come on stream later this year, at-risk youth in volatile communities will continue to benefit from programs that promote life skills and vocational training. Over 6,000 persons benefited from Phase 2 of the program. The CSJP will be complemented by other labor market attachment and employability programs to provide remedial education, training, and job placement. In addition, community justice services like the Restorative Justice Program will be expanded. And the Child Diversion Program will focus on community-related activities for children in conflict with the law, as opposed to incarceration.
And third, the supply of legal aid, mediation, and victim support services will be increased in targeted communities.
Security officials strongly believe that the rehabilitation of inmates is important to preventing the spread of criminal activity. And so, with the help of UK prison estate consultants, a 5-year plan is being developed to transform the Department of Correctional Services. Under the program, potential sites have already been identified to build a maximum security facility which will house between 1,500 and 2,000 inmates. While those talks continue, a new behavior modification program will come on stream in June 2014 for inmates who spend a short time in prison. Facilities at the Tamarind and Richmond Farm Correctional Centers will be expanded to house medium security inmates, so that space will be available at the Tower Street and St. Catherine adult facilities for maximum security inmates. And during the first quarter of this financial year, the DCS will sensitize stakeholders about the sex offender registry, which was recently completed. Reversing the epidemic of violence in Jamaica will only be sustained if the attitude and behavior of the population change for the better. Steps must be taken to fix problems like weak family structures, a subculture of violence and lawlessness, and communities with criminal gangs. And the work must involve every sector of society: law enforcement, public and private sector interests, schools, churches, and community groups. Through the Unite for Change initiative, people all over Jamaica have been working together to make the country a safer place. This fiscal year, the campaign will be strengthened through counseling and psychosocial support for persons exposed to violence, increased volunteerism, peace marches, counseling, and parent education.
Including social marketing campaigns that aim to change attitudes that either promote violence or promote retaliation against informers.
A Stay Alert app will also be launched in the first quarter of this fiscal year so that smartphone users can anonymously report crimes or send information to the police by text, voice note, photograph, or video. The government, through the Ministry of National Security, is working assiduously to cure the disease called crime, interrupting transmission and preventing it from spreading. And through the Unite for Change campaign, positive attitudes are being promoted so that all citizens can come together to create a safer Jamaica for all.
My mother taught me how to work for what I want. And if you don't work for it, then you don't deserve it.
They always tell me, be yourself. Don't try to be like others.
They help me through tough times, good time, bad time, they're always there for me.
Once the family is good, teach the children the right things, then them can grow up on the right.
Your hearts with a smile.
In our previous feature, the National Security Minister laid out several initiatives to make Jamaica a safer place to live and do business. Measures that could remove some of the security challenges 15-year-old Swain Sangster might face as he gets older and starts his farming business. Let's meet this young aspiring farmer.
My name is Swain Sangster. I attend Newell High School and I am from the parish of St. Elizabeth. When I get older, I have a lot of choices to make, but I would like to have a business in farming to help to feed the nation.
Attracting young people to farming is a target of the Agriculture Ministry as it seeks to deepen the pool of farmers and increase productivity. Through the Jamaica 4-H Club and the School Garden program, young persons like Swain are honing the skills and cultivating the passion needed to become master farmers.
What I really like about being in the field, seeing how things grow and reaping it, and actually what I mostly like about being a farmer is eating what I grow.
That's exactly the direction in which the Ministry of Agriculture is positioning the country through its Eat What You Grow, Grow What You Eat campaign.
One of my favorite things to plant is corn because it looks kind of nice. It tastes better than almost everything in I feel.
This budding farmer refuses to look at farming as a rejected occupation. Instead, he says,
being a farmer actually means you got food on the table for your family to eat. Every time somebody put a food to their mouth, you see a little smile and kind of like or smile. Feel like say you contribute to the smile they got on their face.
And so, in pursuit of a business in farming, Swain uses his grandfather's farm as the ideal training ground.
Some of the things I know about farming is how to plant corn, beans, when it is fit to pick up banana.
From his grandfather, he learns valuable lessons.
He's very punctual and he take care of ground. So you really can't get in it.
For his part, husband Blair believes that Swain has all he needs to become a top farmer.
Yes, I see him like somebody who would be industrious in farming. I expect him to, I would say, more talented more than I do. For he is in a high school, and I know the tactics I had in my like a small farming, he had greater tactics in the school.
And while pursuing what he loves, boys will be boys.
Shawty, will you let me take you home?
Trouble, he give enough trouble, and sometimes he's very, very annoying. And he loves to laugh too.
That's because Swain loves to give jokes and play pranks on his schoolmates.
He's like a class clown. He would give people names and start calling them, and everyone would laugh.
Still, Swain is dedicated to his studies and, according to his friends, always willing to lend a helping hand.
Like if you don't have something, he'll give you like you don't have a pencil and he has one, he'll like break it into two and give me piece and he'll take piece.
And this generous side to Swain extends to his future plans.
My brother is also like farming, so I would like to create a business that they could also be co-owners with me.
It is Swain's dream to become a billionaire one day, and he believes that with hard work he will become one.
He do good in farming. When most of the times when he go off the farm, he does well. He always get good scores in agriculture.
Swain Sangster, passing on the message of growing what we eat and eating what we grow, fulfilling the Agriculture Ministry's mission of getting more young people involved in farming.
We have been experiencing rainfall for over a week now, and it has caused damage to some sections of the island and even the loss of 2 precious lives. The management and staff of the JRS send our condolences to the families of twin brothers Brandon and Braden Jones. At this time, we urge persons to take the necessary precautionary measures to protect properties and lives, as the Meteorological Service advised that a series of troughs are expected to linger in the vicinity of Jamaica until Saturday. And as we depend on forecast to carry out our daily activities, we go behind the scene to show you how they actually predict the weather.
Of course, all eyes are on Hurricane Ivan at this time, where we see that we are on the outer fringe of the system. Some of the bands are spilling some showers over the Jamaica area. Just a warning that this thing is actually coming across the area.
A television broadcast of national importance. A critical prediction that possibly saved lives and property. A prediction that came at the end of a process that began with some pretty sophisticated technology.
Weather forecasting is trying to determine the changes in the atmosphere.
Several methods are applied to gather weather data, from simple observation.
It's critical to assess the clouds because the cloud is one of the most important elements of determining a forecast.
To the use of satellites, radars, buoys, and weather aircraft. Forecasters from around the world share information generated by advanced computer software and remote sensing equipment, such as this automatic weather station. Working together, data is synchronized or matched, making it possible to predict the weather from virtually anywhere in the world. Weather collecting devices like buoys, which are equipped with special sensors and networked to computer software, are strategically placed and anchored along the seas or left to drift in response to ocean currents and winds. These networks of buoys provide forecasters with hourly updates on marine measurements related to wind conditions, barometric pressure, air and sea surface temperatures, as well as wave data. The Doppler radar is another useful tool. Radar stands for radio detection and ranging, and it works based on a series of principles named for Austrian physicist Johann Christian Doppler. This sophisticated instrument allows forecasters to monitor the speed and direction of severe weather systems. Data from all sources are fed to central points for analysis and comparison, and are shared all over the world.
And in doing that, we are able to produce what we call a synoptic chart. In producing this chart, it gives us a picture of what is happening across Jamaica and the region. Region here meaning the Caribbean area. After we do that, then we also look at what we call weather prediction models. These models enable us to determine what is going to happen in the future. What we do with the model is that we make an analysis of the model and we make a comparison between the model forecast and what we had done on the synoptic chart.
At this stage, a determination can be made as to what will happen over the next 12 to 24 hours with an outlook for up to 5 days.
In looking at the information, then we determine what the features are and what the influence of these features would be across Jamaica, which would indicate if the day is going to be cloudy, if it's going to be fair, or we expect showers, thunderstorm, or a very windy day.
From the more urgent situations, such as an approaching hurricane, to the less crucial, like where to go for a sunny vacation, news on the weather is always useful. And very important for fishermen and others who must navigate the seas for a living.
We also issue marine products, so persons who are going out to sea would know what the conditions will be across the seas. We have aviation products that are issued specifically to aviation users that would enable them to make a safe flight.
This is a live feed from the runway. So all the information that is displayed here is what's happening currently on the runway, and this is what is critical to all the airlines.
Information on climatic conditions is also provided to farmers and persons in construction, as well as those doing research on the environment. So the next time you see this,
some scattered shower activity over some coastal areas on the northern side of the island,
remember, weather prediction isn't a guessing game. It's a scientific process involving sophisticated technology, providing useful information for industry, for research, for disaster management, and for life.
All residents immediately evacuate the area.
The layman definition is the diversity of life on Earth, the diversity of plants, animals around you. That's biodiversity. Jamaica has signed on, and we're a party to a convention called the Convention on Biological Diversity. And the main goal of that convention is the conservation and protection of biodiversity and the sharing of the benefits from biodiversity. And under that convention, on the 22nd of May, annually, is celebrated as International Day for Biological Diversity. And basically, what they try to do on that day is to heighten or improve the awareness of the importance of our biodiversity to party members. Jamaica is one of the premier countries in the region that when it comes to conservation and preservation of our biodiversity, we have a good track record, not only regionally but internationally, and I think we're in a good position to make our statement an international one. I think we should continue the good work. We've done a lot of work has been done, and we have a lot more to do. We know we have constraints, but I think we are doing good with what we have, and I want to pass on the message that we should just continue to become aware about our biodiversity and tell others. The UN Assembly actually dedicated this year, 2014, as the International Year for Small Island Developing States. And Jamaica is a small island developing state. And going on that theme, the theme for the day is actually island biodiversity. And it's very important to Jamaica because we're an island. And what is found internationally is that islands tend to have a high level of what is called endemism. That means we have animals and plants that are found nowhere else in the world. And I think Jamaica is either the 5th or the 6th when it comes to endemism in the world.
As we close the pages of Jamaica Magazine for today, a word of encouragement for students who are sitting C2 CAPE exams. Recipe for success: study while others are sleeping, work while others are loafing, prepare while others are playing, and dream while others are wishing. William A. Ward. Until tomorrow, when we do it all over again, why not stay connected via our website, jis.gov.jm, or send your ideas and comments via Twitter at JIS News, or email jamaicamagazine@jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Don't forget to go out tomorrow and make a difference in your community.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.